everyone, to Tech Tuesdays. Harry Brelsford coming to us live from Austin, Texas. Kevin Hunter here out of the studios. And we're going to talk about Forrester, and more specifically, a blog written by Jay McBain and talking about what's coming here in 2020. So where would you like to get started, Harry?
Yeah, so for those people that don't know, Forrester is one of the large research houses in the tech industry. There's others like Gartner and so on, so maybe a familiar name. And then Jay McBain is a super solid rock star who came from our community and then became an analyst at Forrester. So Jay had a background at IBM and Lenovo and certainly carried the bag, as we say. Mm-hmm. So this is a two-part series. So Jay's new report is, quite frankly, quite thick. It won't render real well on video. It's thick and took me well over a half hour to read. So today we're going to talk about 3 points I think stand out. So point number one is indirect sales will shrink every year for the next decade. And that's obvious to a lot of people that, you know, what is the role of a distributor or a middleman in an Amazon world, right? Where you can often go direct to Amazon or maybe even direct to the manufacturer themselves and have fulfillment and quite frankly, rapid fulfillment. So I think that point is well taken. I want to turn this into a question for you, Kevin, that when I put on my analyst hat, which I don't have handy or I'd have it on, but I look for industries that I think can still be disrupted, much like travel was and hosting, Airbnb and so on. And I keep landing on the automobile industry where you have a history. So the question is, are you going to see this trend where I may not go to the showroom, I may order my new Golf VW online and either have it delivered or go pick it up in a jukebox vending machine?
Yeah, I actually see that coming. And in fact, there are already a few business models out there that are moving that direction. But I remember in 2011 being contacted by a dealer in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and he had actually looked at a lot of the stuff that I had published on the web, and he was asking the question already then. He said because of the adversarial type relationship that dealers tend to have, or as they're viewed by their consumers, he goes, why don't we have a more direct type situation than what we have now? And why don't we make it a simpler process for buyers to buy cars? Now, he had a more fair, transparent process than a lot of dealers do, so he was already thinking in that direction. But I actually see that coming. And here's the interesting part, Harry. A lot of people don't know this because I receive a lot of comments every single year. People are always asking about, what do you think is the right price to negotiate to on a given vehicle they're looking at? And I always get kind of a chuckle out of that because that question comes out of misunderstanding the business model that exists in the car business. There are actually several different profit centers in fact, in which a dealership makes money. There's finance that people don't think of outside of sales. There's accessories that they don't often think outside of sales. And of course, there's their service departments, which, warranties and all that sort of thing get handled through. But here's the deal. Out of all the square footage in the dealership, finance is the number one moneymaker in any dealership anywhere. And so if you had a more direct process, you would get around all this game playing with fees and products that you wouldn't see value on if you're sitting ordering online, because you would have an opportunity to do the research instead of having somebody sitting across the desk putting pressure on you for those things. So I actually see this coming for the car business. Interestingly enough, content that I've published, some that's going on a decade old, is still relevant today because so little has changed in that business model. And it makes me laugh that people inside the business are like, this stuff isn't even relevant. And then a consumer comes and comments on the same day saying all of this stuff just happened to me. And so
go ahead.
It's interesting. And so the short of all of that long story is I definitely see it coming, and I see a huge disruption ahead for the car business.
Yeah, and two thoughts, and then we'll move on. But one was people near and dear to me, family members, and you, Kevin, as you know, you can always count on family members for direct feedback and concerns.
Right.
And it's like, well, how do I test drive? How do I know if I like the car? And I said, well, whoa, think about it. I kind of already am doing that with my travel schedule. I don't rent a car in every city, but when I rent a car, Kevin, I can pick the VW Golf. Right, a 2-day rental.
Yes,
I can rent the car. I don't like, it shimmied a little bit there. I don't really like that car. I'd rather pay, let's just say $100 for a 2-day rental, and then maybe save. And this is my second question for you. Am I going to save? If we had a direct relationship, can I be saving $5,000, $10,000 off the price of the car?
I think because it will only make that online pricing of vehicles become even more competitive. So I think you stand to save a little bit more money there on the price of the vehicle, but your real savings will be not having to mess with finance and accessories and everything else. And so that side of the business will probably, a bad finance man will empty your pockets to the tune of $3,000. A good one, I've seen them even do $7,000. So I would say on average, you're probably going to save $5,000 on a car deal, at least on the financing end. And then car dealers are just going to do that much more to sharpen their pencil on the actual selling price of the vehicle. And yeah, I see a lot of potential there. But my guess would be somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 you'd save on a car if you could just do it direct and avoid all the nonsense in between.
All right. Next point, number 2. Marketplaces make their mark. And again, Jay's research preaches to the obvious. Folks could very quickly speed read his points on here. He's talking about super marketplaces in the tech industry. So, Kevin, these can often be point and click and download the latest antivirus software directly, that kind of thing. And also, we're seeing some of the computer guys and gals, again known as managed services providers, can use some cool tools to set up a little shopping cart on their site and have that touch with the customer. But Kevin, for our purposes, let's talk about Walmart, right? We don't always think about Walmart. We think about Amazon and the obvious. Let's talk about Walmart. And I got to hand it to them. They they acquired a company. I'm going to forget their name, of course. It was some simple name like Zoom. It wasn't Zoom, but they bought into it so they could accelerate their online component. And I personally, I've clicked over to Walmart. I've shopped on Walmart, and they're starting to get their game on. What do you think of the Walmarts of the world trying to reinvent themselves as a marketplace?
They are doing that exactly, and it's because they see what's coming, what Jay McBain was talking about in his first point here, and they see it coming. And I was just looking up here real quickly, like how long Walmart stores had the walmartstores.com was their website. 47 years they had that as their website, and then 2 years ago in December 2017, a little over 2 years ago now, they changed to Walmart Inc. And they did that because of places like Amazon and all these other areas. So we had a little conversation offline about Sears being the Amazon of its day back in the horse and buggy days, so to speak. But Walmart is being a little bit more responsive to where the market is going than where Sears was back in the day. They did a little in this direction, but it was never going to be what caught on. This online market is definitely it. And Walmart being in this place, they want their online shopper to think of them as Walmart Inc., not Walmart stores. Just like you don't see Amazon stores online, same thing. So they definitely want their consumer of the future to be thinking more of them as this online business, direct to consumer.
All right, and finally for today, let's go to the graphic on number 4. Number 4 is all about channel professionals become ecosystem professionals. And what what we could talk about that. That's not interesting. Channel professionals are focused on the channel and the traditional workflow and roles and so on. What Jay McBain is saying is, we need to think a little broader about the ecosystem, right,
Mm-hmm.
than just the channel and the channel partners. And a lot of times when I think of channel account managers, channel partner managers, Kevin, it always feels a little bit like checking the report card, like, called 10 resellers today, check. Sent out 3 baseball caps to top performers, check. It's very checkbox oriented, and it's not ecosystem. It's not big thinking. But if you can bring that chart up, that's where we'll end today on the technology channel. This is interesting because all the time I am asked about, well, how big is the technology community, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's a real number? And the numbers vary, trust me. And so a couple shout outs on this would be the center of the chart. So we have the VAR, value added reseller in technology. So that is obviously most of us. Mm-hmm. And that is sort of the traditional reseller, break, fix, computer guy, computer gal mentality. Kevin, you call me and you say, I can't print. I get in my car, I come over and help you out.
I didn't know I could do that, Harry. I'm going to start doing.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I get it.
And then the top 10%. So this follows very closely to how we talk about industry stratification in general. There's the 80-20 rule, right? The 80% that are kind of out there, maybe they sell one thing a year or whatever they do. It's the top 20% that makes 80% of the revenue. So this is darn close. We're really talking here the top 10%. And they're more sophisticated. So this is going to be, again, a term familiar to your listeners called managed services provider. That's a little more sophisticated operator who has a recurring revenue model, has you under a monthly contract, and is running a real business that can be acquired. And then a subset of that is managed security service provider, MSSP. That's the hottest part of our field right now, is cybersecurity. And here again, look at that. That's 10% of 10%. If you follow that, right? 600K, so 50K, call it 10%. And then within that 50K, we have 5K. So it's 10% of 10% for today's purposes. And then the other thing I'll end on this would be shadow channels. And so increasingly, we're seeing accounting firms reemerge and provide consulting advice. Now it's part of my history, Kevin, as I've shared on the show. I was in a large CPA firm in Seattle in the 1990s. One fine day, because of the Anderson Consulting and Arthur Anderson accounting scheme surrounding Enron in the late 90s, the regulators came in and said accounting firms cannot do technology consulting, conflict of interest. I went on my merry way, started SMB Nation. Guess what, Kevin? It's kind of back.
Right.
And it makes sense because accountants are trusted advisors. And then the last point on digital agencies, where I also have a background with the analytics startup I was in for a couple of years. We were owned by an agency. And Kevin, we were moving into providing technology advice, right, with analytics and SEO and web and driving traffic. So those are more shadow channels, but this is the world we live in. And my final point, go back to the center. Let's add it up. That's 655,000 participants. I'm going to assume those are unique entities, that you can't be both. So you're one or the other ring. So in the technology channel, that is supported by just over 500,000 professionals. Kevin, that seems like a reasonable number globally.
Absolutely.
To me.
Absolutely.
You know? And I don't know, my friend. Any final thoughts? We'll be back next week and start with influencers and other parts of this amazing report.
You know what I'd just say for our viewers out there is that really pay attention to this stuff and take it seriously, because the changes that we have talked about so far, and those that will come up here next week as well, they are happening. As somebody who pays attention to what's going on out there in the business world, I can tell you that many of these things that Jay McBain is talking about, there's been clues about these for a while already, and some of them are well in play. They're just not being seen necessarily to the extent that we will here in the years ahead. But trust me, this is all coming, and pay attention to it, because there's going to be business people out there that will be, like the Sears and Roebuck of the day, or the Kmart of the day. I think about my college days, and actually my marketing team got an opportunity to go to Kmart World Headquarters. And it was when they were introducing the big K concept. So that it used to say just Kmart, and then they're going to put Mart down the leg of the big red K. And that was their idea on how to save the market slide. And it was just like, you guys, it's not the response that you need to be making. And it's funny. So a university team of students helped tri-steer Kmart in the right direction, but they told us they get paid the big bucks, and we didn't know what we were talking about, and they went on with their game plan, and well, we know what happened to Kmart. So I'm just sharing to our business audience, pay attention to what's going on with this stuff, because it will come around to impacting your business. Anything else here today, Harry?
Well, I'll just end on certainly your children's business. I've got two boys, one out of college, one in college. Kevin, their world will be very different than the world
Yes.
I had. Thank you very much. We're going to pick it up next week with more points from the Jay McBain study.
All right, Kevin Hunter and Harry Brelsford here on Tech Tuesday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Take care.